to help me out in case I forget anything. So, last session, 4/5 of the party returned to Lonebridge after their wonderful escapades in Finwood, specifically in Meyerton. Their first challenge was actually getting into Lonebridge because Lonebridge quarantined off the northern bridge, the path, due to all kinds of crazy shenanigans happening in Meyerton. And it turns out that having the Etterling and these necromantic people trying to convince their way to get through there didn't really work out. So they took the river, and they made it into Lonebridge, where they met up with Fancy. They had a lovely chat, and they broke some bread, and they decided to travel west towards Freedom's Hold to seek out this horrible, terrible entity who is giving away these horrid death vials to children to spirit away and abscond with to little mountain villages to infect everyone and turn them into horrid grotesqueries. Well, we were all sufficiently motivated by that, so we journeyed west for Freedom's Hold to actually be in there that time. But while on the road, we were accosted by a fop, a bureaucrat, riding a tenanym, dragon thing. He was gray. He was boring. And they said that Wildercourt, wild tenanym, had grievances against the group. Because of course they do. And offered us the wonderful opportunity to address all of these concerns so that it would not be kicked further up the chain. The group had some disagreements about whether we should go embark upon this, but ultimately those in opposition caved, and we headed to Wildercourt. It was a bit out of the way, a day there and a day back. Hey, we wanted to resolve the problem. Then we got to court. It was a beautiful little clearing. There was 4 angry wilders who were judging us with their gaze. And there was no official representative from the architect. Because how these crazy court shenanigans work is that there's supposed to be an official representative from Gredcastle, or some other crazy place where the architect likes to make rules and shit. And then the wilders blamed us, and we wanted to know what the fuck was going on. The Grey Dragon presented to us the body of the representative, who was found hurt to death. Hurt to death, yes. Stabbed repeatedly, and apparently he was no longer among the living. Sad. And in the Grey Dragon, he had a good laugh, and he left. He had to go make the fop was a fop and had no fucking clue what was going on. The wilders came closer, and they blamed us because that's what disillusioned college students do. And I suppose forest dragons. Jonas's character, Anrakyn, sought to intimidate the biggest among them. That failed, and they attacked us. We defeated them, because of course we did, and, well, that's all behind us. Nothing more will ever come from it. We got back on the road and actually headed for Freedom's Hold. We got there. It's a beautiful little city. It's like a dual-tiered place. It has like a lovely little river flowing through it. It's great. We settled into Freedom's Hold for a few days while the party sloofed in their investigation to find this horrid man with his vials of kill people and corrupt the flesh. We got a lead via mountain village inside the Great Worm's spine, which would involve us heading back towards Lonebridge and then southeast. We were chatting about that. I think we're going that way, but the players didn't do the best job in the 2 weeks of discussing exactly what they wanted to do. So who could say? That's never happened before with any group of players ever. We're breaking new ground. It's a grand experiment. It belongs to the castle, but we don't have one. I think that's it.
All right. Perhaps as indecisive as the players were, so are the characters at the moment, as we'll pick off essentially at the morning after your investigation, sitting in the common room of the nicely named tavern, the Cat and the Cucumber. It's a quiet day. It's not really the kind of tavern where too many travelers go to. Most of the taverns here really are aimed at the farmers and such, who are presumably busy working currently.
And it's gonna be a few days until the farmers have their day off and shit picks up, right?
Exactly. It's probably also too early that even if the farmers were here, they would likely still be hungover. Who knows?
These farmers, how do they make money if they're using all this prime working time to get crunk?
Well, as it turns out, they make just enough money to regularly get crunk, which is good enough for most of them.
And if not, they sort of make their own, right?
Mom told me not to marry a farmer unless he had 3 silos.
There you go.
How many silos do these farmers have?
How many silos do the farmers have? Well, you haven't really...
A question that flew over the head of the DM. It's like, what?
I don't even...
I didn't think my
this is when you ask, how many silos do the farmers have?
Roll me a D17.
Oh, wow, that's
It's a lot of silos.
Between 1 and 17
damn.
farmers.
that is some
They're
farmers.
well off. They can get crunk all they want.
Silos? Fuck it, I'm getting married right now.
Yeah, I'm settling down with a nice grain farm.
My picture of these farmers just changed to
Yeah.
so many silos.
Well, it's 15 silos in total.
They own the.
This one is just
15
for money.
silos divided amongst all of them. Well, how many farmers are there?
50.
A D100.
There's some good mutt over
Just
here.
one.
Well,
Right.
Well, that's my gather information.
11 farmers.
That's pretty swingy for a city.
Mhm.
It could be just one guy.
Yeah.
We didn't notice that now.
They've all moved away somewhere. I don't know. Maybe we are out here to find them.
But maybe it's not just farmers. There's probably also a proportion of hunters and tradesmen and such.
Who's a farmer, really? How do you define farmer?
Is rancher a different thing?
Yeah,
Horse breeder?
I would say so.
If you have a chicken coop, is that a farmer or not?
No, then you're a chickenist.
A chickenist? I don't think that's a thing.
Sounds like
No.
some
A chickenista.
philosophy.
I think that's the name for it.
Not quite.
Chickenista. All right.
very, very deep and insightful discussions here during the breakfast.
Yes.
The tavern, by the way, in the morning is offering quite the hearty breakfast with lots and lots of meat,
Okay.
fresh baked bread, other plates, everything that you could really want in the breakfast time.
I don't want anything for breakfast.
Crime remembers how that tasted.
Yeah, Anrakyn looks at it mournfully as the rest of the party eats. The food is is over here, basically on the table.
Grandma's learned not to be creepy about it before. At the beginning, he just stared at people eating, but that was the first year or something.
Enjoy your meal.
And an apple too, right?
Yes, yes.
He did.
Sink your teeth into the juicy
No, he just
flesh.
he just kind of sits and doesn't really do much, He's pretty good at just sitting here thinking of the past
Anrakyn reads a book.
or the life of the party.
Yeah.
Quiet breakfast then.
I mean, the silo discussion happened.
That's true. As perhaps at some point, as the conversations drift to all manner of topics, a person enters the tavern, approaches your table, not only, in fact, approaching your table, but giving every one of you a slight wave, and then simply sits down next to Dimezz, kind of slinking in his chair. He is current. he currently has a piece of fresh and still steaming bread in his hand that he is concentrating on biting into it, kind of giving all of you a glance, giving Dimezz a glance, giving him another wave, just looking bored after just a moment.
He is human, yes.
He
We
looks
don't
very
have
much human.
Has Graham ever seen me before?
No.
I don't know.
Well,
Anrakyn-
someone else probably has.
Yeah, Anrakyn sort of
He's
assumes
next to
that
Dimezz. He's like a
Dimezz
halfling,
is probably
has
the
friends.
dude here being...
Yep. Dimezz nods at him and says, "What's going on?"
Well, currently I
goes
was just admiring the rather strange company you keep, Dimezz. Sure, it's changed over time. Especially that
Yeah.
piece of eye candy sitting over there. I lack the words to describe what I see, but if I were to compare it to anything, it would probably be this fresh piece of bread.
You're so sweet.
Well, this bread is not, otherwise it would be terrible bread, but thank you. So, Dimezz, we haven't seen each other for a while. How did that thing go, you know?
Worked out great. You did your job. We did ours.
He shrugs. Good, I'm not sure how you managed to fit all these people into 3 boats, but... Or rather, a boat meant for 3 people, but... Shrugs again.
With some effort.
So, not to be, overly curious or anything, but what exactly did you find out about Grimith?
This and that. It's not exactly the thing I'm roaring to share.
He shrugs again. Suppose that makes sense. I mean, it's not like you shared a lot of things with me before. Oh wait, yes you did. But I guess they really did a number on your noggin, didn't they?
Dimezz shrugs.
Pretty sure you used to be more talkative too. But who am I to interrupt your breakfast? Please do continue.
Okay, he does.
The person will basically continue eating his own breakfast.
Sure, I won't stop him.
Yeah, you can sit here. It's a free country.
Well, Gil-Galad is somewhat gonna, cough and poke, I guess, Dimezz slightly in the sides. So are you going to introduce your friend to the rest of us?
Yeah, Dimezz says, this is Markos. He's the guy who set up the boats.
The person Marcos will give everyone again a slight wave, biting again into his bread.
I see. Well, we have to thank you for that. It proved very useful, indeed.
What the curious thing that was. I mean, he looks towards them as these people are, okay, right? I can talk and such.
Dimezz nods.
Well, I'm just curious because, I mean, I wasn't told anything of this, and I really shouldn't know any. Well, no point, but Dimezz, you did know that you wanted to go to Minett to find out about a person and not to kill a necromancer, correct? I'm just curious how things escalated, because, oh man.
Things just kind of happen that way. We go to investigate, bunch of zombies everywhere, things happen.
He shrugs. Fair enough.
What do you mean it escalated?
Well, I'm just trying to piece things together because I was hired, in a sense, asked a favor really for Dimezz, to organize a way to Minett so he could get there without his target knowing, and then he comes 3 months late and also has that whole undead thing going that he apparently got involved in, and then, I don't even want to speak about what happened later because I shouldn't even know about that either, but, well, my point being is the plan expanded rather interestingly,
There
at
was
least from my perspective.
a necromantic-infused fishery. We took care of it. I don't know how long it will take for Maiaton to rebuild, but I believe we destroyed the source of the corruption. Whatever
Good. Yes.
else target you're talking about, I have no idea. You did mention a name, however.
Well, yeah, Grimith, the person that Dimezz wanted to find out more about. I thought that was the point of going to Maiaton in the first place.
Anrakyn looks at Dimezz. This is the first he has heard of this.
What?
Yes,
Isn't that the guy that the entire party is looking for currently?
yes, it is.
Yes, so
So why are you looking for him, Dimezz?
because we're looking for him.
But
Nah,
this
I have
was
been
3
looking for
months
him.
ago.
You have been looking for him quite a while. You probably just don't, kind of spins a finger around his head.
I'm so confused right now, like out of character.
Anrakyn looks at Graham.
Graham looks and says, "Did you used to drink more than you do now, Dimezz?
No?
Or do you just not
Perhaps
remember
smoke
it?"
something.
He sort of leans back a little bit.
Out of character.
I'm actually so fucking confused right now.
Out of character, Jake. Because you've apparently been interested in this Granath guy for months, in character, Anrakyn is very interested in why Dimezz has been looking for Granath for months.
I don't know
Even though
how
the
it
group
became
is
apparent
looking
that I
for-
had been looking for Granath for months, because it only just now came up.
It's because of what this guy said.
Well,
But yeah,
You're a
no,
spy
I
person.
was
Maybe
assuming
there's
that
some way-
Markos thought I was looking for Granath because I came back and started asking about him. I didn't... Like,
Well-
Someone
Perhaps
pulling
he's
the
looking-
strings.
Anrakyn looks at the newcomer and says, "Perhaps then you can enlighten us as to what Dimezz said and asked for when he started looking for this Granath months ago."
Well, it's a bit of an awkward story, really, because I had my part of organizing the boats and the way to Maiaton, and Dimezz is a good friend. He might not remember me or really much about me, but that's awkward again. But what I know, which is what I shouldn't know, and I apologize, Dimezz, for prying into your affairs, but I do believe that you were hired to find out something about him, but I'm not sure by whom exactly, and, why, but I do know that it's this Grimith person who apparently was supposed to be in Maiaton, but probably not 3 months late. So I was just... looks a bit confused himself now. So I was just trying to make sense of the whole thing, so I figured I'd bring this whole thing up, but now it seems that there's somewhat of a misunderstanding, or maybe we just need a round of drinks. But, to get back to the point, Grimith was supposed to be in Maiaton. Dimezz was supposed to be in Maiaton 3 months ago.
And we don't know why. Anrakyn looks at Dimezz. You have absolutely no clue.
Yeah, no, Dimezz looks, well, for one, he looks confused, like, incredibly. He'll say, okay, look, I'm obvious. I thought I was hiding it better. I'm doing a very poor job, apparently, but I, might as well tell you guys now. Anrakyn, you already knew this, but, I've basically lost my entire memory of the last year of my life. I have no idea what I was doing at all. I remember 2 years ago, and then I remember last week. More or less. I mean, it's a little more than last week, but...
Oh, how dreadful.
So, I mean... I'm trying to just go along with it. Like, when I came here and you waved me over... Markaz, I kind of tried to go along with it, like I knew what was happening, but I mean... You guys keep bringing up my memory, so apparently it's obvious.
Bless your heart.
Damn!
Well, listen, Dimezz, you don't need to worry about me. I know that things happen. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I know that you used to know what was going to happen that would cause all this, and I also know that during the time that you forgot, you, well, to put it bluntly, not to shine a rather bad light on my past, you broke me out of prison. So, if there's anyone you can trust, it's me. You ever need a favor? I have my own contacts. Maybe if you need some sort of information, I could ask around. Although I did say I wasn't in contact with the people that I am actually still in contact with. It's... you need something done, you just ask me. I'm your friend. You might not remember me, but it's true.
Okay. I'll remember that. Thank you.
Good.
It's kind of awkward when you meet people and then don't remember anything about them.
It does seem that this name Granite has sprung up with yet another necromantic incident then. If he's somehow linked to Myreton and the alchemists and the mercenaries that accosted us on the road, then I can size slightly. We need to find them, I think.
What merchant are you talking about?
There was a some sort of shady merchant is passing out vials of liquid that he claims will cure anything, and it does for a few hours, and then the person turns into a undead monstrosity. And these have been passed around for a while, it seems, and we're trying to track down the source. There was supposed to be some sort of merchant or alchemist, and the name Granith has come up as well during these investigations.
Sure gets around that Granith person.
Yes.
So, what you gonna do?
About what?
Well, you do sound interested in that person, so... Your plans, your masterminds must be working right now. I mean, you fixed Myreton from what I heard, and that... Quite the feat, that. And then, well, that mess after Lonebridge is not something that I think really has been resolved yet, so I'm curious what's going to come from that, but surely, if you're so interested in that person, you will not just sit on this table here and eat meat.
The trail has gone somewhat cold, however.
Actually, there was something I was wondering about. If I remember correctly, this mercenary had a letter addressed to this character.
It's true.
She also had a pouch.
It's true.
I believe it's in your possession.
Yep.
Anrakyn.
Anrakyn nods, like if as he suddenly remembers something. Oh, yes, that's right, actually. He digs around a little bit in his coat and puts the letter and the pouch on the table.
Did you have the time to look it over? Perhaps it's magical some way?
I
Or maybe alchemical?
I remembered it the second you mentioned it to me now. He looks around the table. Well, if it's all the same to you, I guess we'll open this and take a look.
Graham shrugs.
And his nods.
Then Anrakyn will open up the letter and read.
Alright, the letter attached to the pouch, I believe I have posted the contents a few times. Let me pick them out again. The note simply says this.
Right. And then we'll open the pouch and take a peek inside.
In the pouch is a single item, a silver gem-encrusted ring, looking rather valuable and perhaps slightly even more than just valuable. In the sense that it might very well be magical.
Interesting.
I will in fact tell you what it does. A accomplished spellcaster of some description can surely figure out these things rather quickly.
Maybe it
And-
tells us.
Yeah, and the magic item is not trying to hide it.
Ring of Divine Glory.
Nice ring.
It's an interesting ring, yes. Recover from religious fanatics. Well, I suppose like a cult leader would be really happy with that.
Fancy, after staring vapidly at it for some time, will like squeal and like clap and say, "Oh, that looks so precious."
Marcus nods in agreement.
Graham looks to Fancy and looks to the ring and looks to the others. It's just right. Personally, think it would look rather pretty on your little hand there, Fancy.
Oh.
Perhaps you should hold on to it.
Fancy looks over and says, I've never really worn rings before, as she like eagerly like extends her hands across the table.
He smiles like she's endearing right now.
Anrakyn smiles slightly also. He nods. He's fine with Fancy wearing a ring of authority.
Mm-hmm. You know, if you want someone to have authority, why not Fancy?
I can think of a number of reasons.
Spotlight off Dimezz. At least they can skulk more.
Might as well.
Graham thinks she is perhaps not the most accomplished person, but she is good-hearted. And that's a nice thing to see. It's a rare thing.
You know she's gonna drop it immediately or like give it away to someone.
Very much likely.
Just tell her that it's important for some reason.
All right, sure.
And you have to hold on to this because X.
Yeah, Anrakyn leans over then and looks Fancy in the eye and says, "Now listen, Fancy. This ring is very important. It is linked to this Grimith, and it might be key in finding him. So hold on to it. All right. Don't give it away or, well, drop it."
Fancy like gets a more serious expression. Says, "I will. Yeah, I might have to wear it on a thong because fight, but yeah, I'll take good care of it.
He nods.
Promise."
All right then.
Fancy
So
gingerly
apparently,
and then she like wiggles in her seat a bit and like holds it up.
You can all suddenly feel like a thump.
Do we feel the divine glory from Fancy?
I think she's actually pretty important of a person.
Oh, I didn't know before. It's a very... She came from a circus. I do like circuses.
The best politicians come from circuses.
And best heroes as well.
As a player, I do think Fancy is the best person for wearing it, and Dimezz would be the worst person.
Yep.
Yeah, I pretty much agree.
Dimezz wears it, and he's like trying
that beggar over there is very important. This 5-year-old, damn.
I am so drawn to you for some reason.
He gets kidnapped all the time.
Should give it to the Adelaide.
It's very important.
He's very important.
a dead old general of the Great War.
It's the ring chakra tries to bind. It's like, what the fuck is this Adderley?
That's just Bismarck. Yeah.
Marcus Marcos even kind of clears his throat, starts standing up slowly as he finishes the last crumbs of his bread, waves at everyone again, and stops. If you ever find yourself stuck finding someone, I think I might know some people, despite the fact that knowing them is a bad idea usually, but, you know, I know a guy if you need a guy, is what I'm saying.
I think I speak for everyone here when I say that we need a guy.
You do?
We need to find Granith. If you say that you're good at finding people or picking up cold trails, then yes. This seems like an excellent opportunity. Anrakyn looks around, unless you guys have anything else you want us to do.
That would be a good start, actually.
Well, I myself am not the best at finding people, but I know people who are in the business of knowing things, although information is not going to be free there, but I think that, can probably find a compromise. They are nice people if you get to know them, really. Even though they got me into this whole prison mess in the first place, but at least that led me to meet Dimezz, so...
Yeah, Dimezz is...
Drugs.
Yeah, I mean... I don't actually remember, so how did you even get into prison to begin with? What? And
Oh, it's terrorism, this, and crime that. It's not important. Better you keep forgetting.
Turns out he's like a serial killer on the loose or something.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, don't worry about that. Yes, and
False accusations, all of them, of course.
of course,
Innocent.
Exaggerated at best.
innocent until proven guilty, I believe. Yes.
Can we try to rate him? Maybe.
I mean, out of character, this seems like a good bet. We don't have any other clues, really. The only other option we had was to just roam around randomly and see if something happened.
We'll see how much they want for the information, at least. You know, like,
Sure.
if they're like, yes, you just have to do a few favors.
I can do them a favor.
Of having them never have to get up in the morning again.
Sure, that can happen. Do you know if they have 5 HP or lower?
You will.
Yeah.
Marcos kind of scratches his chin a bit, looking up at the ceiling. Well, I could probably arrange a meeting in a couple of days, perhaps. Could do it faster, but they'll be annoyed, and that's never a good thing.
A couple of days is fine, I think. We are in no hurry currently.
All right. I suppose you'll stay here then, so I can find you?
I think so, yes.
Good. It's nice meeting you all, and he shrugs, just leaves.
Have a nice day. Wave.
Goodbye.
Crow never got used to waving.
You not wave where he come from. The only
No,
waves
I
he
didn't
sees
do
are the
that.
oceans.
If only that was true.
You know, the long ships.
And not long after Marcus leaves the tavern, another figure enters.
I like to imagine that we're the only, 5 people, currently, keeping the tavern busy this morning.
Yeah, there really aren't many people around. There's the barkeep kind of keeping himself busy behind the bar, but he's keeping other things.
Like, done with breakfast. But people just keep coming and,
Yep.
buying us breakfast.
Let me buy a drink.
Oh, Anrakyn! Oh, come on, here, extra breakfast.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, I was gonna head on out. No.
Is that Gil-Galad, my old friend?
Let me buy you around.
Graham and Anrakyn have 7 breakfasts stacked in front of them.
Yeah, we are the tavern economy.
We are the 1%.
All right, so someone else comes into the tavern.
The person entering this time, unlike the person previously, stops at a respectable distance, hands kind of folded behind his back. It's a rather old person in somewhat official looking and rather extravagant clothing that Graham would recognize as being the secretary of the Dragon Post, or the Cloud Dragon Post even.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
He approaches slowly, kind of clearing his throat to get your attention, but still staying away as if waiting for permission to actually approach.
Grab a little look at him, but wait for him to come over. No. Billing will stand up.
He will
The seat.
He will just take a step forward towards the table without actually wanting to sit down. As he waves over to the barkeep, makes basically a 5 with a hand, points at the table. The barkeep gets busy pouring some sort of drinks. As he will bow slightly and introduce himself, saying, sorry to English is difficult. Sorry to interrupt your breakfast. My name is J. Roy. I'm the secretary for the Cloud Dragon Post in Freedom's Hold. You, Graham, I believe was your name. We've met before.
Yes, we have.
I find myself in a bit of a desperate situation, and perhaps it is far-fetched, but at least I see that you are still in Freedom's Hold. I was worried that you had already left. To put it bluntly, Sifley is gone, and the Cloud Dragon assigned to this post here, and I find myself with very few options. The bureaucracy, the proper way of organizing a search for him would take quite a while. Even convincing them that he is gone in the first place would be difficult, as they might simply assume that he is tired of his work, but I know him better. He might be whimsical at best, but he is reliable, and he has not returned this morning.
So terrible, this bureaucracy thing. Someone should really do something about it.
You have no idea.
Well, usually it works, but it is not exactly speedy.
Like if Fancy says that, and the table just grows dark. Like,
Yep.
yes,
Yes, someone
The
should
bottom
do
of the
something
world.
about it. I like that idea. It's us versus the bureaucracy.
That's the arch nemesis of this
Yeah.
campaign, the bureaucracy.
The bureaucracy.
work. Ah!
All these fops and bureaucrats always in the way, stopping us. You thought you were gonna
Slay
advance,
them all.
but you forgot to fill in Form 2B.
Fancy continues, well, any friend of Kind Graham's is a friend of mine. Sid, tell us more.
Well, after office times yesterday, Sifley, as he usually does, left town to investigate, explore, whatever it is he does. I do know where he usually goes, an abandoned town nearby, but usually he returns midnight, shortly after midnight, to get some sleep, and is then ready to, well, wait for customers the next day. But he has not returned tonight, and he has not returned this morning. It has never happened in the few years that I've worked with him.
Do you know for sure that he went to this abandoned town that he usually frequents?
I do not know for sure, and if he didn't go there, if he indeed ran away, then he will be impossible to track down, as he is a traveler. He is a messenger. He can fly for weeks at a time. It would be impossible to track him, but I do believe that he did indeed go there, because if he did not, then I have no clue where to start looking for him. To say that I would be in trouble if I lost him would be an understatement, but I am also, of course, worried for him. In short, I would like to see about the possibility of perhaps hiring you, Graham, or perhaps you and your companions to look for him. in the only spot that I know that he could have been. If you do not find him, I will still consider the job completed, but I want to at least try to do something before I slog through the mire of bureaucracy to perhaps get someone to look for him in a week's time.
Well, I, for one, have to help you. It is my duty, after all, to find those who have lost their way.
Sounds fine to me. We have nothing else going on at the moment, and if this man wants to hire us, I say let him. The cause is noble enough.
How far away is this abandoned town? I didn't know there were any slums around Freedom's Hold.
There aren't many. This town is a rather special case because nobody really is sure what happened to it. People do agree that going back there is a bad idea. Sifley, however, cares little and simply wants to find out what exactly happened. He wants to explore the abandoned buildings and such. A terrible idea, but convincing him of the foolishness of his hobby is impossible. The town is, I do not know how far it is on foot or horse, because he has only told me how far it is to fly when I asked him. It is about an hour's flight of him, for him even, which I assume would be half a day, perhaps more of walk.
Which direction?
It is south. It is the town formerly known as Wilston. A small one, perhaps a couple dozen people have lived there at some point. Now it's just a ruin.
Well, how long has it been a ruin?
Oh, for many decades at this point. I'm not entirely sure about the details.
Fancy looks across the table at Anrakyn and Graham and says, maybe there's something about it at the academy.
I can
Good thought.
take a look.
Yes, I think we shall go and take a look at this ruin. It seems like it'll take a little enough time, and who knows, he might have been injured or something.
He nods. I will, of course, not ask you to do this and then give you a payment afterwards. Your payment for this... Sorry, it's just me getting fuzzy-brained. I will offer you 200 gold pieces each for this task. It is all I can spare, and trying to barter for more would be futile, but please do be thorough for his sake.
200 gold. Like Fancy does counting on the table and looks at him and he says,
But that price will be very thorough.
Yes.
I know it's she's thinking about how much money she has right now.
Yep, sold. Done.
Can work with it.
Your offer is generous enough.
It kills some time until we have a meeting with the people who good, give us 1,000 gold pieces. And
We're like,
damn it, we did the job.
yeah, we need a narrator from Baldur's Gate 2. The deal is made, and
10,000 gold and some magic items, and they will help you find a person.
where's Bodhi when we need her?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go for this.
Additionally, we will need the services of your post, I believe,
Anrakyn
soon enough.
looks at us. I'll go to the academy and see if I can dig something up. He nods at J-Roy, and then he moves out towards the academy.
Does he do any socializing here in the city, or is it just whenever he gets free time heading out to the south?
I do not know if he has any friends. I do not believe so. I do know that he spends most of the time during the day in the office, as he is supposed to, waiting for customers. And in the rare cases that we do get hired, he is often gone for days, weeks. Recently we have not had much work, meaning that he was inside during the day and out and about during the evenings. I did not inquire too much about his free time, as I did not want to be too intrusive.
What kind of life is no friends?
A long
It-
one.
You do have to understand that this job of his will only be a small part of his life. Being part of the Cloud Dragons means that the young members are heavily encouraged to take a job in the Cloud Dragon post. It is education in a sense. If they wouldn't take this job, they would perhaps rarely interact with this civilization at all.
So it's like an academy for cloud dragons.
It is a way for them to see how the things work around here. It is also a way for the Cloud Dragons as a whole to gain respect, trust, and funds.
Oh. But without friends, how could any of them be happy with doing this?
It is perhaps not the most exciting situation for a Cloud Dragon to be in, although they do like the challenge of flying far away as fast as they can. They do have friends at home mostly. It is rare that they make friends in these posts because they never know when they will be gone and for how long. It makes these things a bit awkward. That said, I myself would like to consider him my friend and vice versa. As boring of a friend as I might be.
Oh no, why would you say something like that about yourself?
He smiled slightly.
And this is coming from a person with divine radiance, mind you.
You see? You look good when you smile. You should do that more often.
Perhaps after Sifley was found. I should not linger here too long. There might be a customer, as unlikely as it is, wanting to send a message somewhere and will find himself in front of a locked door. That would not be good for our reputation.
All right then. If we find him, we'll bring him to you. If we don't, we'll bring the word there.
Thank you.
Is there something that you can give us so that if we do encounter him, he knows that we're coming on your behalf? Because, you know.
J-Roy thinks for a moment and then pulls a pen out of his pocket. Puts it on the table. You can show him this. It's the pen I used to throw at him whenever he's annoying.
Oh.
The symbolism. It's too much.
Fancy quirks of brow. Not really sure whether friends throw things at each other.
Oh, it's in a lovable, affectionate way, I'm sure.
Yeah, the pen itself is a rather elegant hardwood pen with a pretty modern thing. Not really just like an advanced quill. It has the ink inside, like a proper modern pen. Quite the marvel of technology.
Oh man.
Did you call a pen a marvel of technology? Alright.
That's fancy right there.
Why wouldn't you?
At that time, yeah.
Have you invented anything better?
No.
Well, then knock it then.
Bitch.
Maybe your
Sorry,
one
that
unique
was rude.
thing. Maybe your one unique
Wow.
thing should have been I invented the world's breech loading rifle. You ever think about that?
Everyone is so salty tonight. I don't know what's up.
Possibly because we have to douse our things in salt to preserve them. Hey.
Because that's the level of technology we have here, Jonas.
Yeah. And it's all because you won't put your
Go
mind
back
to
to a
work for the
fancy
greater good
world
of
where-
humanity.
Go back to fancy world where pens aren't marvelous of technology.
We learned so much. Well, seeing that Anrakyn's probably gonna do stuff at the academy, and so look at the others. So when do we go?
Well, I would like to take care of some business here first.
All right, I shall be at the marketplace, paying some of those lovely people who. I seem to think of the word juggle and breathe fire and.
Oh, I'm going with you.
All right, it's very novel. I saw it passing one of these days, and I thought I would take a closer look.
Fancy absently picks up the quill and then rushes up and takes kindly old man Graham's arm and loops her arm through it. Let's go.
Unnecessary dangers.
Go towards the marketplace to watch the the performers, I guess is the word.
Okay.
Doing their performance to see what that's about, because that certainly didn't happen in old-timey Winterland. Not in the same way, at least.
Well, at the academy, Anrakyn will be let in really without problems. It's not unusual that people just come to the academy even though they haven't paid for any courses. So, what would Anrakyn like to do in specific?
Well, let's read up on the mysterious abandoned township of Winston.
In the academy, Anrakyn really doesn't find any good history books, but he does find something that is almost equivalent, a sort of, a treaty on the possible dangers rather that might have caused this, a rather military approach to things of potential conflicts to come.
Okay.
Close enough. And he will find out a little bit about Wilston. The location, for one, it is indeed about, basically a day's worth of travel on foot, sort of south. What's the word?
Ish.
Southwest. And the reason for its being abandoned isn't entirely clear. The towns around here, despite being rather numerous, also tend to be rather isolated. There are roads, of course, dirt roads really, and occasional travel between them, mostly the people coming to Freedom Soul to have fun. But the town's disappearance wasn't really discovered until a week, 2 weeks after it actually happened, and when people went to investigate, another week or 2 weeks later, they just found houses. That's it. It is as if the people had just stood up and walked away, leaving things where they had been using them and just dropped them.
Okay.
The reason why it's still abandoned, most likely just, what's the word?
Reputation?
Reputation, basically.
Creepy as shit.
Yeah.
The creep factor of people saying, no,
Move in.
nobody lives there anymore because
There's
this
clothes-
god or another doesn't want people to live there.
clothes laid out as if a person was sleeping in them in this bed. I think I will just take it over. Said no one ever.
Well,
As for the size of the town, which might also be accessible from the documents Anrakyn is rifling through, it's tiny. There were perhaps 24 people at best living there in two large-ish barns, few houses, tiny inn that's really just a tavern, and a big well in the town center. Basically just 8 constructions in the entire town. or 8 structures even.
Was there any indications, like is there anything in the papers like indicating, oh, there was a strange weather phenomenon, or like an earthquake hit, or like anything odd happening around the time that can be discerned from these papers?
Let's see, that's not something that would be obvious from the papers Anrakyn is currently reading. However, he could try to read through the many other documents that might be more or less related to the time frame and try to piece something together.
All
With a
right.
skill check.
Yes, I shall do a skill check. Let's see here. It is. Let's see if I remember this. It is a d20 plus my level.
Yes.
Plus-
And what background do you think, if any, would be appropriate?
I'm not sure I have. I'm not much of an historian. The closest I would say would either be, because of his physician background, he would be used to reading through lots of papers quickly to sort of assess the situation. Might work, or it would be his magical background, Master of the Mystic Arts, because that involves a lot of reading and a lot of studying. So he would have a lot of he's used to rifling through books and reading them a lot.
Considering this is not really magical at all and more just documents, I think your physician background, I'll give you half of that.
Okay. Intelligence?
Yes. I think that's appropriate.
22.
22. Alright, rifling through the many different documents that are, in fact, documenting something completely different but around the same time frame, Anrakyn does find some pieces of information about the weather and such. And there was perhaps a phenomenon that could have been at the location of Wilston that people described as upside down rain.
Okay.
Has that ever happened? In Anrakyn's lifetime? Has he ever heard about that before?
No. He hasn't heard.
When druids create the rain, it has to come from somewhere, and I believe that's the groundwater of the next place over.
Aggressive evaporation.
That is the most aggressive I think he has heard of. Okay, well, that is certainly strange. Was this mentioned in passing somewhere, or was it like a report, or in what format did this information surface?
It was basically found in a document describing the different effects on weather on a potential battlefield.
Okay.
Which in passing mentioned that some weather phenomena that have been observed in these areas couldn't really be assessed because they only happened presumably once, or are just complete bullshit, essentially, that people made up.
Okay.
Mentioned in passing that this book does not cover everything.
That's in the preface of the book. All right. Well, having sussed out these strange things about the target, Anrakyn will try to find the rest of the group. If he can't, he'll meet them back at the bar.
Well, you can probably find us fairly easily. Stand out, I'd like to think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even if you then don't stand out, the people that you perhaps are watching currently might, because there are certainly some performers on the marketplace. It is still kind of early morning-ish, so there aren't too many, but there's the occasional juggler and such.